All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. So this is something that I actually had a lot of fun doing initially, but I went on this forum called Natty or Not, or Natty or Juice on YouTube, and I was like, I wonder what people are gonna think if I put my own photos up here and pretend like I'm a third person. And the results actually were super surprising and just really funny to read upon. My friends who tried defending me got attacked. People think I'm this big juicy powerlifter guy who's just been on roids for like the last 10 years. And we'll look at this in a little bit, but I'm just going to go on the forum and we're going to look through some of the various pages on here. There are a ton of really interesting stuff and just kind of really funny stuff about the fitness industry. So let's just take a look. I'm on the homepage right now, and if we scroll through it, immediately off, there's a when you get hired at Gymshark page, advice for young Gymshark employees. Always be on steroids and always use them consistently no matter what. And I think this is kind of like part true. You see all these pretty juicy looking teenagers, and a lot of them probably are on stuff, but there's also, they have the athletes who definitely could not or could be on. You never know for sure, but they have some athletes who maybe honestly might be natural. You never really know. Some people have really good genetics. Some people just really do well and can put a ton of muscle on early on or with a few years of training. There's people I know who are, I'd say, probably 95% natural. Like, I'm 95% sure they're natural, and they all, or a lot of them, were able to put on significant amounts of muscle early on into their training. It's very interpersonal, and there's like myofibrillar disorders that allow you to stack on a lot more than most people would. But then again, there's other genetics, environmental factors that play a role into it too. Let's see. All right.
Fighting your
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That transformation. There's no. If this was 3 years, guy went from teenager dude who's barely has any muscle into this absolute tank of a person. Got the massive delts, the striations in the chest. That's insane. Even with steroids. If that's 2 years, that's very impressive. And absolutely insane. All right. Okay, so this guy, this celebrity, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Kumal Najini. I think that actually sounds right. This is being a 1 year transformation. Regardless, you can tell he put a lot of effort into it. He has the lower abs. He's very vascular in the arms. Cheekbones are just defined, more defined than pretty much anyone else you ever see. And a solid amount of muscle on his frame. I would probably say this is a natty, but a ton of work went into it. So you kind of got to weigh up whatever one you're looking at more, or whatever is more important from you. Honestly, like when it comes to steroids, people can take whatever they want. It's not my place to pass judgment and shame people for it. It is my place to give advice when people ask me, and to probably lean on the side of not doing them, purely for the fact that they're damaging to your body and expensive, and if you don't do them right, you might die. That's kind of my view on it. I think TRT is a whole different story that we can go to in another day, but that's kind of my philosophy for the whole thing. So very impressive transformation regardless. That's absolutely insane that he was able to do that in a year. That's crazy. So this photo showing three peak bodies from 1900, 1970, and 2020, and how it's progressed. I think that's Phil Heath. I'm not super into like men's open bodybuilding. I think that's men's open bodybuilding, or Mr. Olympia bodybuilding, just for the fact that it's so out of this world for me. Like, it's so freaky that I can't relate at all, and I like watching a sport where I can accurately make connections between my own training and then the training of these genetic freaks. But you see this dude, and I think that's his dude's name is Ernest, but he's one of like the main lifters back in 1900, and he's one of the people who made bodybuilding and powerlifting and strongman popular early on. Absolutely crazy physique. Very impressive. I think anyone would be happy with this. Maybe not bodybuilders who have been abusing performance-enhancing drugs for like the last 10 years, but insanely big, insanely lean. Very impressive regardless. And then you have Arnold, which is just a whole different animal. Massive, huge chest, huge arms. Guy was wide, just literally just wide. He was huge. And then you have Phil Heath, I think. Phil Heath literally taking up the whole room. And what I can tell you about these people is that they literally, so on photo, they look massive. They look insane, but in person, they're even bigger. I've seen some moderately big bodybuilders in person, and they would look bigger than he does in this photo. Like, it's kind of crazy how that all works. It's absolutely insane. And perfect genetics, perfect work ethic, perfect coaching, perfect steroid use, that's just through the roof most likely. Regardless, though, 3 elite people. I would totally be happy with this one, though. Like, it wouldn't bother me not looking like that. Or it wouldn't bother me if I was stuck looking like that. I'd just be like, heck yeah, it's perfect. Steroids or not, how this MFer managed to look like this in the very same video is absolutely behind me. I've had the same thought. So David Lade, literally, he's a master at camera, master at photography, lightings, and he is very lean too. So that pump just shows. Every single muscle, fiber, and vein is popping. And so it's very easy to look at someone in a t-shirt and be like, oh, they don't lift. He's very lean. He is big, but he's a tall dude too, so it's spread over like a lot of bone. And when you get a pump in the perfect lighting, you maybe ingested some pump formula too. You know, all these circumstances are perfect. You can look insane, and he looks insane, as you can probably tell. And if you don't think this looks insane, bro, what looks insane then? Because literally nothing would be impressive if that doesn't look impressive. So you have Craig Elias, who's kind of this freak of nature, very big, not an impressive physique bodybuilding wise. Like if you were to look at him, he plays very badly in a show, but he has a ton of muscle on him, a lot, and I'd probably say less than you'd think because he's a master of angles. He'll do I don't think he uses Photoshop, but he'll do pretty much everything he can to make himself look bigger with lighting, just adjusting various picture qualities. But he's also probably on some of the heaviest stuff in the market. I had a person talk to me about Craig Elias, who I respect and know a lot, who's just kind of like the gym mentor, and just like an overall like mentor in the real life and business. He was talking to me about Craig Elias, and he had talked to Craig Elias in person years back, and then he talked to him recently again. I don't know if he explicitly talked about his use. I think he might have, because he's enhanced. He definitely did if he's an enhanced athlete. Literally the shirt says so. But he's not going to be healthy for much longer. Like looking at that, your body can only take so much before it starts being reflected in your health, and it just can't be remedied through eating healthy and getting sleep. So it's one of the things where you have lift looking big on such a high pedestal to the point where it's so diminishing to your health that is it even worth it? It has to be up to you, and it probably isn't. So if you have, in this photo, we have Sean Connery, who's also one of like the main people who made bodybuilding kind of popular initially, posing with a sword, which I think is super cool. And I know that the Mr. Universe Championship was different back then. I don't know exactly what the rules were, but it might have had some like powerlifting in it. That's a very good physique. He doesn't have a ton of muscle on him, but proportionally, he's a very fit guy. And I think most guys, fitness industry, probably less fitness industry, but just more like average human being, would want to look like this and would be totally fine looking like this. You see he's very lean, lower abs are showing. I'm guessing, I can see one shoulder vein right there. Doesn't have too much leg mass. I don't think training legs was super popular back then. You can see some defined delt and some defined deltoid, or some defined pec and some of his deltoid kind of popping out, but he isn't super massive. This is very attainably naturally for pretty much just about anyone who does not suffer from hypogonadism or some other disease that affects your testosterone. And I actually think this is like pretty achievable, like from pretty much anyone. Like if you watching this video, assuming you're a guy and aren't just disgustingly out of this the distribution for like high or like normal testosterone, or even low testosterone, I think you could probably achieve this pretty easily with some consistent training and dieting being key. It's not that hard. All right, in this photo we have our favorite natty Irishman, who might actually not be natty anymore. This is a physique that I would say is pretty attainable for most people who work hard. And in other photos here, I'm gonna pull it up. I think that's how you spell physique. He's put on similar amounts of muscle in the past before. Like obviously these photos, I'd say he's pretty much about equal to being in this shape. He always has pretty round delts, a pretty tight waist. He's not shredded to the gills, except in like photos. This isn't even real. In this photo, he was shredded to the gills, like just really low body fat, really low water. But he's about the same in most of the other ones I see. He just has a very overall well-developed physique. And if you look at his arms and all of his attachments where everything lines up is almost perfect. His bicep attaches literally to the arm, which makes your arm look a lot more full naturally. It would take me I probably wouldn't even look this big with a pump Or it might take me a pump to look this big, just because how perfect his bicep attaches to the tendon in the elbow. So that's kind of one of the crazy things about literally how much genetics can affect it. Where your bones attach, you could have the same amount of muscle on two different people, but depending on where their muscle attaches to the bone, completely different physiques because of that. It's one of those things where it's such a, you can get big, you can do what you can to make yourself look big as possible, good angles, good lighting, but to a certain point, someone is always going to genetically be at a higher point than you, and that's kind of something you have to accept. Kind of crazy. This photo is, in my opinion, one of the best representations of what most people can achieve naturally. Maybe not proportion-wise, but if you have similar with shoulders, similar with waist, you could probably put on this much muscle that easily. It's one of those things where being lean has a huge role in it. You look massive in photos when you're lean. You look crazy in photos when you're significantly lean and have a little bit of muscle mass on. He probably had a pump in this photo. He might have been flexing, might not have been. He looks pretty relaxed. Good bicep attachments, and also pretty I might say moderately wide waist, which would take away from it a little bit. If his waist was shrunk, he'd still look significantly bigger. But honestly, this is something that is probably attainable in 7 years. Let's take a look at it. Natty Potter. Obviously, could be used to the juice. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Natty. Some dudes, for the rest, bro. None would assume this is juicy. Hottie Potter. Harry Potter's much bigger. Why? Oh, because of the glasses. That's funny, though. But yeah, no, super natty. Like, he's natty. Most likely. We don't know. Another photo of the peak natty bodybuilders. This is something anyone would be happy with. At least in my position, anyone would be happy with. Guy looks jacked, has the big popping abs. Chest is probably doesn't look super developed. I'm guessing they didn't really utilize that training back then, or there's a lot of the exercises and science was not known yet. But it looks good. Like, who would not look at this and be like, oh yeah, I'd be totally fine with looking at this year round. Big traps, big arms, big chest, biggish chest, shredded abs. Perfectly fit, like, that's physique goals for me. I would take that in a heartbeat. If you have to ask if your favorite actor is on the juice, they're probably on the juice. When it comes to stuff like this, if you were paid $5 million, even $1 million to get fit for a show, you'd want to just nail the physique that you could make. And if you're told, like, hey, you can take this, put on 20 pounds of muscle faster and quicker than you normally would, hell, I would do it. That's a big paycheck compared to the potential health reward or the health damage that could occur. Most people would. I'm going to be quite frank. Probably juicy, very impressive regardless. Good point. I'd say probably average genetics. If you look at Henry Cavill, Justice League. So when he was flexing, I'm trying to find the one where he was fighting. So like photos like this, this should be. It's not wanting to load. Okay, flex. If you look at this photo, obviously he's very lean. Obviously he has a decent bit of muscle, but it isn't an incredible amount. You can look so big off of such little muscle. It's kind of crazy. I would honestly say probably not natty, but also just like a lot of hard work and just off at like a very naturally decent point. Looking at his arms, they don't attach in terribly well placed. He's not terribly full anywhere else. He looks big in this photo because he's probably flexing and pumped and photoshopped. But like stuff like this, yeah, he does look pretty big too. But then you have photos, I'm gonna pull up on a separate screen, that I've taken too, and it's kind of crazy, like looking at it, how I could be considered natural. Like this was a photo. Granted, I made it a little bit dark, which made my abs and stomach pop and chest pop out a little bit more. But this is natural. This is not even a pump. This is just after I got out of the shower. So you can make a lot out of nothing, and this photo being another great example of what a pump can do for your physique. I don't look like this normally. But when I took the photo and had pump product in me, good lighting, great pump, of course I could look like that. So it's very subjective. And you get these people. So another thing I want to talk about, you get these people. Retrospective Natty. I think retrospective Natty. You can't find too much on there, but you have these people who claim they're natural at a point that they weren't, even though they claim they're on steroids now. To not make their past physique invalidated because of their steroid use now, if that makes sense. It'd be like me to a level, it'd be like me taking a photo where I just made myself look super fat, and then I took a photo where I flexed as hard as I could, perfect lighting, perfect pump, cut out water, it would still be me, but it'd be me purposely making the results more dramatic, and lying about what happened in between the results. There's a guy, Fierce Pete, he did an excellent video on it where, like, in 24 hours, or the same day, he had a bunch of crap food, he made himself bloated, he puffed out his stomach, he looked sad, and then he got a pump, flex out of his every single muscle he had, oiled up, smiled, used angles, and he looked insane. I'm actually gonna find that right now too. Furious Pete fake transformation, and he all did this for like a informational YouTube video, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah, like this. And these photos are just a few days apart. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I'd say a similar level with Connor Murphy at this. The dude is not natty, though. He was not natty when he was doing all this stuff. But it's crazy how the change can make it look. His lats maybe look a little bit more full. Actually, they look more full in the low angle. But his shoulders look a little bit wider. His waist looks a little bit skinnier. Same kind of idea. Or the tantalize. It's crazy what a little bit of change can do. That's honestly, in like your first year of lifting, this is a very realistic physique change. This one's fake too, so but you would think that it was just a very, very realistic physique change. I would say honestly, like, that was probably how much muscle I put on, or visually at least, like, kind of looks like my change. But yeah, no, it's you got to take it for what it is. All right, so we have a dude 130 to 230. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I'm immediately saying not natty. When it comes to looking at this, granted, there's a chance. If this was over 7-8 years, but obviously wasn't with this camera quality and like how his face developed. Insane. Like, what, the dude's wide and it's impressive. Oh my gosh. So human growth hormone, Joe Rogan's been on it. It's like there's some benefits to it that anyone can enjoy, but that's funny. That Bugenhagen. I don't know. Like, looking at this guy, so he's a very honest person. He shows the good and the bad about lifting. I want to say like he's natty. I don't know for a fact. Just natty and peak genetics, because like he's not super lean in this photo. Granted, he's super wide. He lifts super heavy amounts of weights. It's a business thing for him, so there'd be benefit from being that natty. But the way he talks about it and how passionate he is, it's one of those things where you kind of have to believe them to a level. I try and be as, just take people for face value when I can. And his thing is, like, he's overall built super well. Doesn't look natty. But there's one of the things he could be that, like, 1% genetic outlier. Derek from moreplates.moredates.com. Absolutely insane. Granted, he doesn't look this big normally because it's like pump lighting, but he's overall has built a super good physique over the last few years. I don't think he'd do well on the bodybuilding stage, at least competing in like a statewide or even regional meet. But just overall shredded, massive shoulders, underdeveloped chest when it comes to the rest of his physique. But it's insane. Like, he has a ton of muscle on, a lot of muscle to the point where I'd say, obviously he's not natty. Dude talks about it openly, but it's a great amount of muscle on this guy. Like, very few people who want to pack on as much muscle as possible would be like, this is way too big for me. They'd be like, that's perfect. I want this. All right, now we're gonna segue into the my forum thread that I put out, and you guys are probably gonna think the results are hilarious. So initially, there's probably been like 30 people who have downvoted and upvoting things on here. There's been a ton of people who have downvoted things. Like, this whole thing got downvoted a ton of times because I was watching the number change almost by the hour. So I created a Reddit account. I don't even know why it's new. I think I just had it from a while ago and the name got changed. But I posed myself as a third person, talking about my physique, talking about my what I've lifted in the past, and to see what other people had said. And it is really funny, like, everything that's on there. So I posted this photo of me deadlifting 635 because that's a big number, and I posted the photo that you saw early on from me at Metroflex in the bathroom. This is 4 years apart. 4 years apart. I think I might have said 5. Yeah, I don't think I said it anywhere here, but this is a few years apart. 16 comments. Let's go through them. Sauce, classic early juicing kid powerlifter with 12 up votes. So 12 people agreed with him, at least. I did too. I upvoted it. Or 12 people at least, thought to like his comment. Classic early juicing kid powerlifter. No, dude, not true. I mean, you guys can literally just take that however you want as me lying or whatever. But this is perfect photo and perfect lighting. Here, and I'm going to pull out a photo from me normally just like half flexed. So here's one of me, waking up in the morning, just decided to do like a lat spread. This is not super impressive. Yeah, I've put on a decent bit of muscle, but this is not insane. Same thing with this right here. Me posing. Oh. Like, this was no pump. This was just literally me walking into the locker room one day and doing that. Yeah, no, it's all super attainable naturally. Granted, you get photos like this where I just my back just looks massive, but that's because good lighting, good pump, high angle coming from the ceiling. I came out of that shower and I was like, hey, we need to take a physique photo because in the mirror my back looks massive, and let's look massive on camera. So it's so depending on the lighting, man. You have no idea. This down lighting made me like 3 times leaner. This, I didn't look super big in this because I wasn't really focused on flexing the aesthetic muscles, just holding up 635 pounds. But my comment got downvoted by at least one person. Might have gotten upvoted by a few of my friends. And then you have another person go, he squeezes the juice, as in I'm juicing again. And I said, isn't that normal progression over 4 years? I've seen people bigger. And he said, lol, at normal progression, as like a joke. Like, this is a joke. And 4 people upvoted that. And I go, what do you mean? It's not like he gained a ton of muscle. Because I truly did not gain a ton of muscle. Maybe 20 pounds. And then you have this dude go off. And this comment right here made me laugh. Yes, he has. Look at his before pic and his after pic. And it's not just the muscle, but the cuts and definition of it, the rapid progression of strength, and his not so inconspicuous facial changes. Look at his brow ridge and jawline and cheekbones on how angular they are compared to his roundish child-looking before face. So I mean, hey dude, I'm flattered. This made my day when I read it, because it's like somebody thinking that you're significantly bigger than you are, and someone saying that you're juicing because you're impressive. So this meant a lot to me in reading it. It made me smile, and just kind of like pat myself on the back. My brow is super defined. It's one of those things that I kind of dislike because it makes my face lose like the smooth appearance. And I do have when I'm like this, ton of cheek fat, chin fat, but like when I'm talking like this, it does get pretty lean looking. And I mean, that's just distribution of body fat. You have another dude with 12 upvotes. Traps and acne on his delts tell me juice. I have pretty big traps naturally. Deadlifting a ton of times a week will do that. I'll try and find a photo real quick of like me flexing my traps. So obviously bad image quality, but this is me the other day just flexing them. Like they are huge. They're literally like triangles implanted in my shoulders. So that I can kind of get. And I said, don't teens have acne without being on the juice? Because, yeah, we do. Hormonal changes are a big thing. And he goes, you rarely see teens with acne on their chest, delts, and arms. Obviously, someone can have them while being natty, but that's not doing him any favor. I'm just a teenager, dude. I've seen people my age significantly with worse acne than I have, and more of them, too. Like, I'm honestly on, like, the cleaner end of things, but I do have, as you can see in this photo, there is some stuff right there. Very little on my chest, though. Mainly comes from my dry skin. But there's that. And then if you have to ask, he's on the juice, just being like, if you're asking, he's on the juice, which kind of makes sense when you're like wondering, it might be true. When there is a doubt, there is no doubt, juice. I mean, doubting that I'm natty, another big compliment to me. I'll take it, man. I am, but I'll take the compliment though. And then a dude responded to orange juice, and that made me smile. And then one of the people goes, do I hear a 5-plate incline in his future? And I think it's because his comment got downvoted. That's why he deleted it. But he goes something about my traps, my shoulders not being retracted in this photo. I posted this photo because because this was on the way up, and I was dragging it a little bit. And that makes sense. But I made the ugliest face at the top of the movement. Like, it just wasn't a pretty one that I wanted to put out on the internet for a lot of people to see. So I picked one that was like almost locked out, half not, which kind of makes it look like I'm just really leaned forward, even though I was more locked out at the top. And And then the guy responds, "Will I have a 5-plate incline in his future?" Talking about the 5 plates incline. Talking about.
Now the problem is he has to work.
I'm trying to find the wrong one.
What's up, guys? Derek, moreplates.com. Today we
in response to this video.
That was man. Okay, so so much better in terms of.
Yes, let's go.
Okay, so in response to that, and it's the noise that got me. It's not a good video. Not a satisfying noise, but yeah, he tore his pack off his chest. And actually got fundraised a ton of money for it. I mean, and I think he's in a better place now. But I'd be super just depressed if my future just went away like that. And I think it was Torn or Kalen. Either one of you. Shout out to you guys. You guys are great. He goes, "I know him IRL. He's Natty, guys. Y'all don't know what good lighting looks like and it shows. Skullface." And so when you post a comment, it gets upvoted by you, and I upvoted it. So he had 2 upvotes, which means at least 2 people downvoted it. And some people getting upset for being called out that they're wrong about me being not Natty. Again, I'll take it. I'll take it 100%. Biggest stroke to my ego ever. And then we have the last dude going, "Why isn't he tucking his shoulders when deadlifting? His super spinatus is GG," as in I'm going to break something, which honestly is something that I've been trying to get better at. I try to tuck my shoulders more than I do right now, and I'm working on it significantly. It's going to get better as a deadlift, but it's in a good place right now. And then you had, did I downvote it? Oh, I guess I did downvote it. But yeah, so yeah, he had just me downvote it. Unfortunately, I didn't actually. Yeah, no, that's just me being, I think, upset at the time. I don't know. But, yeah, overall, there's a ton of fun stuff on here. And I am completely natural, guys. The perfect lighting, the flexing, it does change a lot. Like, it's crazy how much of a difference you can make. You can achieve this naturally, probably. You might honestly get it quicker than I can, and even more at this point, and lift more weights than I can. My deadlift is naturally probably elite considered, considering I've only been sumo deadlifting for 2 years and deadlifting for another, just like regular deadlifting for 1. It is super solid, and I'll hopefully get 700 in a year. But yeah, no, if you guys enjoyed this video, I'd love to do more. Ton of fun looking through these photos. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and leave a like and a comment for what you guys would want to see next. But I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.